Welcome to the Internet of Things podcast. This is your host, Stacey Higginbotham, and your co-host,
Kevin Toffel.
And we have an amazing show for you today. We're going to be talking about new skills for Madam A and new products as well. Plus, we have got some crazy news out of the universities. We've got some fun wireless camera technology, smart walls, and an IoT security play. We're going to have a little bit of news on a new social media law. Got an update on Comcast IoT subscribers, updates from Canary, a new IoT chip with mesh networking, and a new smart and secure router. Plus, Kevin is upset about a choice that he made in his smart home. He'll tell you why and what he's going to do about it. This week I am in Sweden, so I interviewed two ladies from IKEA, Rebecca Torreman, who is in charge of the Tradfri lights, and Leana Prip-Kovac, who is in charge of IKEA's sustainability efforts. And we're going to be talking about IKEA's future smart home stuff, plus how you can design a greener connected product. We'll also hear a little bit about privacy from our sponsor, ForTrock. And now, let's go to another one of our sponsors, Twilio. Twilio Programmable Wireless makes it easy for developers to program cellular connectivity, whether you're working with a few devices or thousands. Get connected fast using no shenanigans, no contract, pay-as-you-go pricing. You can connect devices in over 120 countries around the world. Programmable Wireless offers you the scale and strength of the Twilio network, trusted by millions of developers all over the world. Check out twilio.com/wireless. Awesome. All right, Kevin. Big news today. Actually, big news last week. I think it was last Friday that Amazon announced its Blueprints product. And basically, this is 20 templates that allow you to make a custom skill. And I looked at this and I was like, ooh, fun. And the rest of you guys may be like, this is stupid. But what you can do is you basically set one of these templates, like a quiz template, and you can build your own quiz game. You can also do a fairy tale one. You can do a trivia one. And you can actually even do like flashcards for like foreign languages or anything else you want. I chose the template for a house guest to try to help them understand my connected home. So it's very easy. It walks you through everything. You are limited by the types of questions they can ask. So in the Housecast one, it was, where can I find, and then you put whatever you wanted them to find. And then Madam A would answer them. They also had how do I was one of the options. And then it had a contact offering. So I filled out one. I did notice that it's very hard to guess what someone's going to ask. So I did a very generic, like, how do I turn on the lights? Because I didn't want to do 20 commands for turning on all the lights in all the rooms and all the variations of it. So, and how do I work the thermostat? The other thing I noticed is that when it came time to name my skill, because you get to name the skill, so someone would actually, using this, would actually go in and be like, Madam A, open, I wanted it to be called Stacey's Helpful House. But it was way too complicated for Madam A, and it warned me. So I just called it My Helpful House. So now if you walk into my house and you say, Madam A, turn on My Helpful House, you'll get this prompt from Madam A, and you can customize this that says, hi, I'm the Helpful House. What can I do? You can ask me the following, and it gives you options. So it took me all of 5 minutes. It wasn't like the most well-considered skill probably, but very easy. And I don't know if it's going to help people or not.
Well, I don't know if it's going to help people or not, but obviously the potential is there. And I think it's brilliant of Amazon to make it easier to create skills. I mean, anything they can do to add more smarts and more personalization to these devices is going to help. And now they don't have to rely on developers to do that when you can do this yourself in a relatively easy format. The house guest one is a perfect one. It's probably the one I would have started with too, because I remember my dad, whenever he would be at my house, he'd be like, hey, before you go, like he would watch the house when we went out, he would say, how do I change the channel? Just because of the technology we had in the house that he didn't have, and these are the kinds of things that can really add benefit. So it's all about personalization and expansion of the Echo ecosystem from a service standpoint. I think it's, again, very, very smart of Amazon.
Agreed. And I wonder, because as they get into business, they're actually letting businesses do their own custom skills for a business. I wonder if this is going to be a similar format for that. So
It could be. I mean, just because it's simple and easy, but I suspect that businesses maybe that don't have an IT department, probably yes. Businesses that do have a lot of technical resources, they'll probably just use the regular skills APIs and such because you can program them very easily and those folks would understand how to do that. So yeah, makes sense.
all right. And while I got excited about blueprints, Amazon has also, Bloomberg actually discovered that Amazon is thinking about building a robot, making Kevin and I super psychic because we were just talking about robots. And tell us a little bit about Amazon Vesta.
Well, we don't know much for sure. This is all reporting out of Bloomberg, as you mentioned. The code name of the robot effort is Vesta, which is the Roman goddess of hearth, home, and family. So that kind of gives you an indication of hopefully where Amazon is heading here. It appears that this will be a mobile roving type robot that can self-navigate actually among different rooms based on early prototypes. I would imagine
is what you wanted.
It's exactly what I said
This
two
is the
or
Echo on
three
a
weeks.
Roomba.
Exactly. And people may think this is a little crazy, but to be honest, Amazon bought a robotics company back in 2012. I think it's called Kiva Systems.
Yes.
It is for $775 million. And they've used that investment to create robots in their warehouses. And they have, as of early 2017, they have 45,000 of these Amazon design built robots that move pallets around the warehouses and such. They're not picking items for delivery because they don't have the fine motor skills to do that. And I don't think the Vesta robot will do that either. And I know that makes you sad, Stacy, because 2 weeks ago you said, I want a robot with arms. I agree with you. I do too, but I don't think we're there yet. I don't see this as a task-based robot, like would fold laundry and iron your clothes. I see this as more of an informational robot that could help with presence detection in the house, customize different settings in the home for you. I expect it will have a camera with, computer vision, and it'd be an information source that can, follow you around. And I don't mind a camera in the house, provided I have control over it. I don't want a camera in every room, though. So this, to me, is perfect because I can say, robot, go away. I don't want you looking in here right now because I'm sitting here in my PJs watching TV, whatever. I'm excited by the potential of this. That's all I can say right now.
Okay, sure. I'll wait and see. I'm like, how's it going to handle stairs? I mean, just basics that I'm like, all right. But yeah, I'll see. I'm not as excited as possibly Kevin is, but, that's not unusual. Actually, that is kind of unusual. I lied. Kevin was not a fan of the original Echo. And then all of a sudden he was like, okay, I can see this being useful now. But to be fair, the original Echo had very little, going for it. So,
yeah, exactly.
All right. Final bit of news on the Echo. There is now a new Amazon Echo Kids edition, which I've used the Kindle FreeTime app when my daughter was younger on her Kindle Fire tablet. And that was the most aggravating, confusing interface I think I've really ever encountered. So I don't know if I'm thrilled about this. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, my kids are older, so we don't use any of the free time type things on the Amazon devices. But, this is an $80 Echo Dot that's got a case on it. It also includes the free time on Madam A, as you had said. And if you want, you can actually just add free time on your existing Dot for $3 a month if you don't want to buy the new Dot, basically. And what that does is add specific content that's kid-friendly, such as certain skills, audible books, and other things. You can keep track of or limit their music, to not share explicit tunes and so on and so forth.
That presupposes it's from the Amazon Music service.
Well, a lot of, you're right. And a lot of the Echo Focus, it presupposes that you're A, a Prime member, B, you subscribe to everything that Amazon offers and so on and so forth. So yes, it does. It could be, though, that you could limit it to just the Amazon Music service as part of the parental controls here, So I think this is a logical extension of what Amazon already has with the Echo. I don't think they needed to come out with a new device because it's really the same device, just with a little case on it. But it's a way for them to customize it for a different market segment. They've been very specific about the privacy because that's obviously an issue when it comes to kids. They said that no data is collected for advertising purposes. The only data that's used is used to make the product better. I still wonder about that from a COPPA standpoint here in the US, but they haven't said anything about that.
Got it. Okay. And now, moving on to we'll call it the university beat, because we've got some crazy fun news. First up is Smart Walls from Chris Harrison, who is a professor with the Human Computer Interaction Institute at Carnegie Mellon University. He's got 2 projects out. One is a digital interactive paper, but the second one is something I could see in a smart home. It's called Wall++. And basically, it turns your wall into a capacitive touch sensor. And the cost for this so far, they estimate, is about $20 per square meter. So it's not exactly cheap, but it's not like insanely expensive. And you can do it without tools. So you just put this substance on a wall and then you can paint over it and then you attach sensors to the baseboard and your wall becomes this capacitive touch sensor. And from there, you can build services on top of it, like apps that will say, hey, I'm touching the wall here. This means that. It can figure out what electronic objects are in a room and if they're on or off, like lights or computers or televisions. And this just seemed really intriguing. It was not where I thought a smart wall would go, but I'm like, yeah, all right, I could see that. So you could just walk in and slap your wall and turn things on, or you could touch your wall. I gotta say that I do not like the idea of people touching my walls because ew, gross dirt, but you know.
Yeah, you don't have to actually touch the wall. Obviously, you get finer resolution in terms of the sensors if you are touching the wall, but if you're standing close enough to it, it can actually determine your pose and so on and so forth. It's an interesting approach. I mean, basically, these are little squares that each one is a pixel, essentially, like a pixel on a display, and you just set these up in a crisscross pattern and then connect them all up with some wire in the sensor, and you've got a touch-sensitive wall. And I agree with you. This didn't go the way I thought it would. I didn't think the smart wall would be a sensor. I thought it would be more of a display, like with a projector or something like that. But this was kind of interesting, and I'd be curious to see what people can do with it.
Yeah, so we'll put a link to that in the show notes, and maybe we'll have Chris come on talk on the show because it's a fun project. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
All right. Other crazy news. The University of Washington has created a way to transmit video using less power. And basically what they've done is they're using backscatter. And I should tell you, the University of Washington has a really impressive wireless research institute. So they have done research on like detecting where people are in a room using the disruption your bodies make in RF signals. They've done some other cool things around this wireless power transmission. So these people, University of Washington, they got their wireless down. So basically what you can do is send a full color HD signal at 60 frames per second for less than a watt. Now that is still huge power consumption for a battery powered device. But you could also send a 720p image at 10 frames per second that can be sent for under 80 microwatts. And that gets a lot closer to something we could see that's usable. So maybe it's like when someone rings your doorbell, it can shoot the video from the doorbell to a screen without having it go through the cloud. It just would go over your wireless network.
And because it's low power, it could be a battery-powered device at that point.
Yeah. So there's some really cool things. The tech is already licensed to a company called Jiva Wireless. So you might be able to see this in things maybe as soon as like next year or the year after. Woo! And final cool university thing, Princeton University. This was kind of a letdown for me. What do you think, Kevin?
Oh, I mean, it's a letdown to me only in that I can't actually use the tool that they came out with. It's called the IoT Inspector Project. And basically, the project tries to figure out what your IoT devices talk to, what information is gathered, and are the devices hacked? All very important things. Unfortunately, they're going to open source this tool to let you inspect your own IoT devices, and you have to email them to join a waitlist. But I mean, that's the only letdown to me is that I can't get it right now. I'm just curious what information it provides.
Well, see, that was my letdown.
So okay.
I joined the waitlist, and when I find out, when they let me on, hopefully, we'll be able to tell you more about what, my devices are doing. And maybe we can let you guys try it out too. We'll see. All right. News bits. There is a social media law that has been brought to the Senate, and I read it, and I'm sad. I'm sad because this is strictly for online platforms, and it doesn't look like it's going to help people in the IoT. It doesn't look like it's going to deal with collecting IoT data. So the rule will deal with covered online platforms, and that means an online platform that collects personal data during the online behavior of a user of the online platform, which I'm not online when my Nest is collecting data about my meanderings around my home. I'm not online, or am I online? I'm like,
well, you're not, but your devices are. Like when you're asleep, for example, and things are being sensed and recorded and motion is detected because the dog walked past a camera. Yeah, that's the device, like I said, is online. The home is online. You are not.
so yeah. And the term online platform means any public-facing website, web application, or digital application, including a mobile application, and includes a social network, an ad network, a mobile OS, a search engine, an email service, or an ISP. Again, I want some clarity here for IoT devices because I think they belong in this any sort of digital consumer protection. The rights in here are not great either. They're basically saying, look, if you're going to use your data and collect it, you got to tell people what you're collecting, why you're collecting it, and give them a chance to opt out. If they opt out, they just they don't have to use the service, which is different from the GDPR because I believe you can opt out of data collection and still use some of the services, which is a little weird or is different. We'll call it different. So this proposed legislation is very far from becoming a law, so we may never see it, but it seems like the beginning of kind of a GDPR effort in the US. We'll see where it goes, and hopefully we'll get some more clarity on what it means for IoT if it goes anywhere. Comcast, just a little update because they reported earnings. They now have 1.2 million Xfinity Home subscribers. That's up about 44% from the year prior. And that's really all I have to say about that. That's a lot of people buying Xfinity Home. It puts them as one of the larger players in this system, and that's that.
Well, they're making progress. I have a feeling a lot of it has to do with potential bundling of services. I don't have anything more to say about it than that, other than, the fact that they can do that is an advantage for them.
Yes, and it is actually helping them. Even as they lose cable subscribers, their revenue per user is still up. So looking for increased broadband bills, but also more of these services on top of it to maintain kind of the same or more money-making ability as you did when you had the triple play, right? So Canary, they did a little update.
Little update. I don't know how many Canary users there are out there, but I am one. So I just want to mention to us Canary folks that recently Canary devices got person detection. I think that was back in February. Now with the latest app update, you can set your devices to record all motion, just people only, or not to record at all. And motion alerts themselves can be configured for all motion, people only, or nothing. So this kind of cleans up some of the noise in the Canary timeline and notifications systems. The people detection is actually pretty good, although it still recognizes Norm, my dog, as a person. So,
but that's right.
Darn it, he is.
I can't argue with that. All right. Other little gadgety updates. Google Assistant got 2 new partners, Sensi, the Sensi home thermostat from Emerson, and then also, after I complained about it 2 weeks ago, the Trådfri lights from IKEA are now also supported by Google Home, which means I probably should have to put them back in and try them again.
I was just going to ask, are you going to put them back?
I am, but kind of begrudgingly. I'm not putting them back in my husband's bedside table lamp because that really makes him mad. All right. Let's see. There is a really popular chip out there that people are using for building IoT devices. It's the Espressif ESP8266. So this is a chip that a lot of hackers and fun people kind of use to play around with connected devices. And it's very popular for that. And the new version of it has now Wi-Fi mesh networking. So now you can use mesh Wi-Fi stuff for your gadgets that you're building with this chip, and it just makes it a little bit more compelling for people. I don't have much to say beyond this, but I know there's a certain subset of our listeners who are going to be excited about it. So go, be excited. And finally, in other news, Asus has a new mesh Wi-Fi system, and it's got built-in security from Trend Micro. Are we excited about this?
I think so. I mean, the fact that it has the security through Trend Micro, where it basically hits their cloud database of known malware sites and such and helps protect you from them, which is constantly updated, which is nice. You have that service for the lifetime of the product. So it's not like a subscription. It's not like you get it for 3 months. You have it for the lifetime of the product, which I think is very nice. These are kind of interesting. I mean, we've seen obviously mesh Wi-Fi routers and access points before. These are a little unique in that they almost look like, irons that you would use to iron your clothes. They're like a pyramid, in fact. And the reason they're a pyramid is because the antennas are aligned to send the signals both horizontally and vertically, so that helps with multi-level homes. This is also 3x3 MIMO, which is 3 antennas in each unit, so that should help with coverage as well. $299 on pre-order at Amazon, and I'm trying to see when. I think they come out in May.
so you don't have long to wait for a more secure home.
Nope.
All right. And now, the section I have been waiting for. Kevin has made a decision.
Well, I'm not upset about my smart home right now, but I'm not happy with it. And all the unhappiness seemed for me to start when I went over to SmartThings. And we just talked about, which smart home hubs are available, which ones are the best, which ones are the ones we recommend for most people. And we typically do recommend either SmartThings or Wink. And I've had both. And I know you've had both, Stacey. I'm going back to Wink because the SmartThings software just it's not as responsive as Wink, for one thing. It just seems like it always has to refresh for 2 seconds every time I open the app and check device states and so on and so forth, even if the app was open in the background. I don't know. I know you can do more with SmartThings if you want to get into device handlers and custom things, but I'm over that. So I think I'm going to move everything back to Wink, which is kind of a shame because I just moved everything over to SmartThings a couple weeks ago. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. What do you think? Because you've used both.
Yeah, I think you're actually right. And you actually did use some of the device handlers to play with some stuff. Mm-hmm. And, so I think for everybody who does not want, if you don't have some weird device you're trying to support, or some grandiose automation scheme that you're trying to support, Wink is the way to go. I just worry, now that it's owned by will.i.am, that I don't know what's going to happen to it. But it's a great platform still for pretty much everybody.
Yeah, we've had concerns about Wink as a product line for a while because they were kind of in limbo and, they were with Quirky and GE and then sold, but they're still around. So, that doesn't mean anything for the future, but maybe we worried about it for nothing. I don't know. I should also point out, and Stacey, I don't know if you saw this, we got a comment on our Facebook page about the new SmartThings app, because they do have 2 apps right now. They have Classic and then the newer one. And in the new one, it says in the FAQs that you cannot connect Madam A, Google Home, or Cortana if you try to connect any of them for the first time using SmartThings. This is under the new app. If you've already been connected with those digital assistants in the Classic app and then you update, you can use those devices. I don't know if that means they're getting rid of that support once for new users on the new app or not.
Okay, so I sent an email to Alex Hawkinson, who's the CEO of SmartThings, when I saw that comment. I sent him the comment and I was like, what? Is this really true? And he says, it's definitely not true. And he says, we're planning to be even more open. And he promised to talk to me. Now, I am in Sweden, so it's very difficult to get a hold of me if you're on the West Coast right now. So I will have more clarity for you guys on this next episode, because I saw that and I was like, what? SmartThings? That was your bread and butter. Samsung loves being open, right? So,
right. Well,
guys, take all good. That with a grain of salt. Big grain.
Yeah, that's good news. Because it kind of sounded like they were just going to go to Bixby, and that is obviously not open and not what everybody wants. The odd thing to me is it's right there in the app FAQs because I double checked it myself. Yes. So they could resolve their own issue right away by fixing that FAQ page.
I agree with you. That's why we're going to have a follow-up conversation when I'm back from Sweden. So stay tuned on that. All right. Now it's time to go to our hotline. By the way, you guys, I'd love to thank Schlage for sponsoring our hotline for the last 5 months. This sponsorship is now becoming available. So if you'd like to sponsor the listener hotline, please reach out to Andrew at iotpodcast.com. Okay. Today's hotline is brought to you by Schlage, maker of electronic locks. Schlage electronic locks can make life so much easier and more convenient. No more keeping track of extra house keys. Each member of your family can have their own access code. To see what's possible, visit schlage.com to learn more. And here we have our question of the week from Dan.
Hi, Stacey and Kevin. This is Dan from North Carolina. I'm a long-time listener, but a first-time caller. We're having a complete kitchen makeover done this summer on our house, including knocking over a wall, new cabinets, appliances, everything. I'm a SmartThings user with about 20 IoT things currently. Besides considering smart appliances like the June oven and others, what are the top few IoT things you'd recommend I do in the kitchen, given that I'm in that unique situation of a clean slate to work with? Smart switches on overhead lighting are a definite for me, so I'm going to do that. But do you have any other recommendations? Thanks again.
Oh, Dan, I'm so so envious of you. I hope you're going for one of those big farmhouse sinks because personally, when we did our kitchen, I said, no, I don't need anything like that. And I regret it every day. So don't let this happen to you, except on your smart stuff, because I guarantee in 5 years, you're going to be like, ugh, probably made the wrong choice just because it's changing so much. My first recommendation to you is, yes, smart switches. Pick your favorite. I'm going to offer to you, if your kitchen is an open floor plan, because you mentioned you were knocking out a wall, I might actually take that opportunity to try the Noon smart home lights because I've been really intrigued. And this is a product that designs the lights for you. It detects what kind of lighting you have and then builds scenes around it for you automatically. I think it's kind of compelling and it's kind of expensive, but wrapped in a reno, it could definitely work. And it all depends though if you're doing an open floor plan. If not, then go with the straight up. I recommend Lutron because they're my favorite. You will need a hub, but it's a no-brainer. I would also install some smart outlets with USB ports in them. If you're going to go with a smart outlet, a Zigbee or Z-Wave should be just fine. You may, depending on your current ecosystem, choose Zigbee because there's support for it from like the Amazon Echo has automatic Zigbee support in there, but I don't think it really matters. And that way you don't have to have these outlets cramming things up, but you'll still have that ability to turn appliances on and off. And you'll be able to charge your connected devices. Yay! As for smart appliances, this is hard for me because I would love for you to install the June oven just because it's awesome and they do have an in-wall oven now. But there's a lot of compelling use cases or arguments for buying appliances all from one vendor. And that kind of makes me feel gross. I don't know.
Well, but they then match and that comes in, it has a nice look and feel, has good resaleability and so on.
So GE has probably worked the hardest on building out like integrations with Madam A and thinking about the kitchen as an integrated whole. So they've done a good job. I don't particularly know about their appliance quality though. And I don't think you should choose your appliances based on how well they function as their main function, not as how well they function with, smart stuff is my thinking here. So that's that. And Kevin, anything else you would install?
I don't know that I would install it, but I'm very disappointed, Stacey, because you did not mention the one thing I thought you were going to mention.
Ceiling mounts for Amazon Echoes?
Nope. A smart faucet for your sink.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh gosh, yes, okay, two things. Because you're putting it in, get the Delta capacitive touch to its Touch 2.0 or Touch 02 faucet that speaks to Amazon because it's awesome. And if you don't want to do that, just get a capacitive touch faucet. Your first couple days, you're going to be like, why did I do this? This is weird. And then you're never going to want to turn on your faucet any other way. This is my pledge to you. So those are, yes, thank you, Kevin. I knew I kept you around for a reason. Yes. All right. So those are our thoughts there, Dan. I wish you luck. I'm sad that I can't think of any other awesome connected things for your kitchen.
I mean, there's a number of smart scales and smart pots and smart other devices. They're all standalone kind of things for the most part.
Yeah. So I'm like, meh.
Maybe some smart blinds. Sometimes I like to wash dishes at night and I don't want people looking in at me.
Oh, okay. If they're Venetian, we've got it's called smart blinds, Venetian style blinds. It'll flip them open and close for you. We have the Hunter Douglas and the Lutron Serena shades if you want them to go up and down, like traditional shades. And yeah. All right, Dan, good luck with your kitchen renovation. If you have a question for the podcast, give us a call at 512-623-7424. And through the end of April, we are giving away my old NetAtmo Welcome camera. So if you leave a voicemail, you'll also be entered to win. And we'll let you know in May. And now, stay tuned for a message from one of our sponsors and to hear more about designing products that are connected and sustainable, and a bit more about IKEA's Tradfri lights. We are taking a break from the Internet of Things podcast for a message from our sponsor. This week's sponsor is ForgeRock, and we are going to be talking about privacy as brand equity with Ben Goodman, VP of Strategy and Innovation. Ben, first off, let's remind people what ForgeRock does.
ForgeRock is a digital identity company, and our scale and flexibility lets our customers move beyond the traditional identity use cases that people use in the enterprise. And so things like provisioning employee access, we do a lot more than that. One of our biggest differentiators is that we've focused really heavily on privacy and consent. So we helped craft a standard called User Managed Access, or UMA, which helps users gain control of who has access to their personal data. We were the first commercially available product to incorporate UMA, and UMA really is a great framework for building a privacy and consent program. And that can help customers with things like GDPR compliance, which is a standard in the European Union for privacy and consent.
We have been talking in the last few weeks about Cambridge Analytica and what it means to give consent to the use of your data. You explained to me that you actually think this was a breach when a lot of people are trying to make the distinction that it wasn't.
Yeah, I think it's time that we really reimagine what makes up a breach. I mean, if someone gets access to our data in a way that we didn't anticipate or we didn't consent to, that is a breach. For example, just because Cambridge Analytica was working within Facebook's terms of service, it doesn't mean it wasn't a breach. When someone misleads me to do something like take an online trivia test and uses that to harvest my personal data and the data of my friends, how can that be anything but a breach? This really is a modern social media version of a phishing attack.
Okay, so do you think this is going to change how consumers view consent?
I hope that this really does create an awakening in the end consumer. I think for the first time, people realize that if they're getting a service for free, then they and their data are the actual product. I don't expect that people are going to suddenly start reading 50-page terms of services or end-user licensing agreements. What I do expect is that vendors that now collect a lot of data are going to have to find ways to surface what they're doing with people's data in a way which is much easier for them to consume and understand.
And how does ForgeRock help with this?
We believe that identity is essential for managing privacy. You really have to understand a person and their attributes in order to provide privacy and consent. And so, as I mentioned in the beginning, ForgeRock's platform was really designed from the ground up to be a key supporting technology for any privacy program. And we were the first commercial product to support this user-managed access. We've since shipped privacy and consent dashboards that can be added into our customers' products to help them as a brand move quickly to show that they care about a customer's privacy and data protection and really give a customer the levers to have the control over their own personal data.
Sounds good. So where can we go to find out more?
To find out more specifically about the stuff we're doing with privacy, please go to www.forgerock.com/privacy.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Internet of Things podcast. This is your host, Stacey Higginbotham, and today I have not one, but two guests. I am here at IKEA's headquarters in Älmhult, Sweden, and I am learning the correct pronunciation for trådfri and eating meatballs, you guys. So let's get this started. We've got two guests. We've got Rebecca Torreman, who's in charge of the trådfri products. Okay, I'm going to let her say it.
Trådfri products.
Wow. Okay. And then after we talk to her for a little bit, we're going to talk to Liana Pripkovac, who is in charge of designing and manufacturing products in a sustainable way. So I am super pumped about all of this. So, Rebecca, by the end of this, maybe I'll pronounce this correctly. Trådfri.
Trådfri, almost.
So close. All right.
Yeah.
So I purchased the lights, and apparently a couple of weeks ago, I put mine away for a while because they weren't working. But for all of those, they've been out in the market for a year. So let's talk about what you've learned since they've been out in the market. How are customers finding them? Do they come in asking for them at the store? Do they just kind of buy them by running across them? What is that process?
I think when we started to develop the smart lighting range, we developed it for it to fit the normal IKEA customer that is not so techy usually and that is not so aware about all of this technology that they exist. And what we learned is that we attract many new type of customers. So many customers that have not been in IKEA for a couple of years. And now they have actually read that we have something that is connected. And they are coming, but we're also then attracting our normal customer base. The one that doesn't know that there is something that is called Zigbee or connected lighting. They just want to dim their lights. So I think that's have been very fun to see that we get traction from both of those types of customers. And we sell a lot of the prepared kits because that is so easy to just take home and just to try and it will work. And then we also sell a lot of the gateway. because people also want to be able to steer their products with the app. And of course, also when you get the gateway, you get the connection to Apple and Amazon and Google. So it has really, spread to all of our customers. And that's really, really fun to see.
And do you have a sense of how many customers tie their stuff back to Amazon or Google or Apple?
Yeah, of course, we follow the figures and I cannot disclose them. But there are many.
So when customers buy these from the store, how do you educate them about what they can do? How are you selling this in the market exactly?
We have both an educational package that goes out to our coworkers, so they know a lot about the products. We also have, of course, communication in the stores, what you can do. And then if you have the app, there you can, of course, browse around and you can find things to do. And we don't have so many things yet in the app. It's rather easy. We have, of course, individual steering. We have the ability for you to do scenes, the ability for you to do timers, and that they seem to get rather fast. So that is fine. But then, of course, when it comes to the integrations, that we talk both in the stores. And of course, our partners also talk about that. Now it's possible to connect throttle-free lights to this and this AI.
So you guys have done lighting so far. You've done wireless charging that everyone's so excited about.
Yeah.
And you've done new Bluetooth speakers. What's next for your home smart efforts?
Yeah, so lighting is very important. That will still be very important. So we're adding on products and features to that range. So we are then fulfilling more needs in the home and of our customers. We're also then, as you say, we have also launched the Bluetooth speakers, Eneby. And we did that because sound as well as lighting is a very important component to create a good atmosphere. So we will also then continue the journey towards fantastic sound in the homes. And we're doing that with Sonos, and that has been announced.
What are you doing with Sonos?
And that I cannot say.
So many secrets, you guys, here in Sweden.
But stay tuned.
Okay. And what are other areas that you're excited about? There's sound, obviously, you had mentioned earlier, health. And security is another kind of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So yeah. I assume you're kind of going at it that perspective.
Yeah, now we're looking into them. What could other areas be? But we're not entering those areas if it is not so that we have found very good user cases. So we're first looking at the customers. We're seeing, okay, what are the pain points? What do they want to have? And then we're creating then the products and the features for us to support that. And as you say, security, maybe not so much for us, rather safety, notion of feeling safe at home. Very important. Peace of mind. Could be about health, as you also said. Very interesting for us if we could do things there when it comes, for example, to sleeping better. How could we support people to do that? So there are very many interesting areas that we're looking into. And it doesn't have to be with connected products. It could be with, shouldn't say easier, but with other types of products as well.
Well, that gets to the point that you have just hammered home with me today. It's smart doesn't mean connected. Yeah. So in some cases, smart could be, I don't know,
wireless charging.
Wireless charging. That's smart without really being connected. Exactly. So to make something smart, what are your kind of design parameters there? What does it mean to make something smart?
Yeah, all of those products that you have talked about, they are under the umbrella of HomeSmart. And when we created HomeSmart, we didn't create smart homes. We created HomeSmart. So we put the home first. Very important for us. So I think in order for us to create a HomeSmart product or a smart product in that sense, we're usually taking a technology component, but we are then tweaking a normal IKEA product for it to be better with the technology component. So then with lighting, we added on connectivity because then you have many other ways that you cannot have otherwise to steer your lighting and to have that fantastic atmosphere that we want people to be able to have. So it needs to really fulfill another user case that we couldn't do otherwise. And that's when we think that it's smart.
When you think about partnerships with other companies in this area, how do you evaluate your partnerships? What do you look for?
I think we look for things that we are not doing currently that other people or other partners then are doing better. So, for example, working with Sonos gives us a company that knows a lot and have a great experience into sound and really gives quality sound. Working with our partners in Amazon and Google and Apple, of course, gives our customers the ability to voice steer their products. Also, of course, add on other types of products that we don't have today and to have that ecosystem if they want. So it's to create other types of use cases that we are not currently offering them today.
All right. Guys, that was Rebecca Toreman, who heads up say it, Rebecca.
I'm the product owner for Throttle-Free System.
One day, you guys. Okay, let's move to Liana Pripkovec. And we're going to be talking about sustainability because Man, I am so disappointed right now in IoT because we are just not talking about, to me, the big issues where this could really help. So we'll start with IKEA, obviously, not big picture. But one of the challenges in IKEA has been a really innovative company about managing its supply chain and designing its products to recycle, to reclaim. What is the philosophy at IKEA, just big picture, around this?
I think, first of all, it starts with the design, actually, and because design will also preset a lot of the other environmental impact or the social impact, for that matter, where you actually produce the products. So we have a concept or an approach where we say everything is within democratic design. Democratic design for IKEA is that everything you do, you have to think about 5 dimensions. Its form, its function, its low price, its quality, and it is sustainability. And it is actually to find the perfect solution there. So sustainability is part of the design principles right away, which then presets, of course, what we call built-in sustainability. And built-in sustainability is what comes with the product. It's the material you select, it's how you produce it, how you transport it, and everything around it. Then we have the function, which is also a sustainable part. And that function could actually be perfectly improving your life, or it could actually make you become more sustainable, or it could use a lot of energy, and it could be the opposite. So when you look at it, you really have to look at it all at the same time.
I should add for everyone listening that IKEA puts security and a focus on security as part of their quality part of that design process. So for everyone wondering, like, but are they secure? Apparently so. So given that that's your design process, one of the risks of adding technology to everything is that some of these materials are toxic or they're rare earths. So how do you think about designing those into products that might ultimately feel a little disposable even?
First of all, I think it's extremely important to look at it both from an input point of view. So when you design the product, actually to decide what are the materials that should be in the product as such. There's a lot of things that could be done there just by being smart in your selection of the materials, also in electronic components and the plastics that you're using and everything around it. So think about it from the beginning. Then on the other hand, you can't really decide if the material is good from a sustainability point of view if you don't know the function. You always have to look at function and sustainability at the same time. We smile about it because we say that, if you would only look at the materials, you would end up to have kitchen sinks out of paper and other types of materials that wouldn't really function at all in a home.
But they're highly recyclable.
But they are highly recyclable, but not very durable and long-standing for the function that it needs to complete. But I think when it comes then to electronics, you're pointing out a very critical discussion. First of all, if you embed an electronic part in a piece of furniture, we need to think about whether this is a platform where you could actually exchange it and which part is actually living longer. It's not necessarily, some parts it could be that the battery lives longer than the lamp, and in other cases it's the lamp that lives longer than the battery, because the life length of some of these batteries are very long now. So how you design it will depend on, of course, how long is the life length of the product, and then also what is the biggest and most likely solution for it at the end of life.
Okay, so let's take the battery-powered lamp, because first off, I don't have any battery-powered lamps, so I'm like, what is this thing she is talking about? But
no, we're thinking about if you have solar panel or if you have any other kind of rechargeable, you can actually have a battery in it. It's more the possibilities then of actually making sure that you recycle the whole lamp.
So in this case, it would be the battery would last longer than the lamp. So the idea is you make the battery recyclable as part of.
You make it to become, if you don't remove a very small battery that disappears very easily and from the recycling flow, but you actually maintain it in the lamp so it's taken care of at the end of life of the lamp. And it's just the opposite way of thinking because we're so used to thinking that the battery is the one that's going to be exchanged many times. But you actually have to look at it. In some cases, it's the opposite when the life length is becoming very long.
And in that case, I would just return it to IKEA, or is there recycling programs because that's the other thing. Like right now I literally have a big old bag in my closet full of old electronic devices and I bring it to my electronic recycling center and I don't know what happens to it from there. But when we start thinking about like your lamp example, if I brought the lamp to them, they'd probably just be like,
No, they shouldn't. They should take care of everything with the electrical company.
That they're throwing them out, but that's just me. Okay.
Yeah.
But
no, I think the trust, of course, the infrastructure of recycling in many countries. Since we're a global company, there is many different possibilities of the infrastructure. Some of is really good and some still ways to go. And we have different setups depending on where we are globally to support that. In some cases, the infrastructure is so good that we're supporting the society, the recycling system. And in other, we actually collect it ourselves. But maybe the most important part also is to enable the possibility of our products to actually be prolonged in society. And right now we are designing the products according to what we call the circular principles. So what is the material? Is it possible to repair the product? Is it possible to make it disassembled and make it possible? So that we have a lot of these design principles that we're linking into the product design right now.
And when dealing with technology, I have to imagine that the life of technology matters as part of this design principle stage. So how do you think of, like, your lamp example kind of throws me because I'm like, what? The battery lasting longer than the lamp itself? That's crazy talk. So if I'm thinking about more traditional technology that I'm putting in things that might last 25 or 30 years, how do you design for that? So far, modularity seems to be key.
Modularity is key, and also to prepare for that it could be completely different technology, of course. What's interesting, though, I think, is that the life length of a product, when you talk to IKEA, is widely. You have everything from a paper napkin that lasts very shortly to a life length of a table or a couch that maybe lasts for 100 years, depending on what it actually is. So, of course, again, you have to look into where is the application, where is the function, and how does this fit? A lamp, it can be a very long living lamp, but we should also think about it that it could be a shorter, if it is a shorter life length, we have less material invested in it, and it should be highly recyclable.
Okay. And how does broadly, not just in products for the consumer home, how does IKEA think about using IoT to help push sustainability or push efficiencies?
I think it's really interesting journey, and I think we're really in the beginning on this one. And I think if you look at it where we are right now, it's been a lot in the talks about efficiency. So the starting point, of course, efficiency, we've talked about health, we've talked about safety, but you can also look at, if you start to look at that, that's a better product solution almost. But since we're in better home, we're now starting to see how this connects to behavior in a home. And if you start to think about behavior in the home and sustainable consumption, and you start to sustainable lifestyles, there's a whole other perspective into what this could do. And there we're just looking into it at the moment to see what we can see. With the 2-dimension, though, all the time, not to be mixed up, there is a built-in sustainability agenda that we will be very strict on. We will not compromise on our efficiency and our way of designing products with the materials we select and how we produce them. But we will also look at the function, and the combination of that could be the great possibility when you look into new homes.
So if my smart lights, I can never expect my smart lights from IKEA to be like, burn more fuel, stay on all the time. I'm looking for more things that we were brainstorming things like showers that turn off after 5 minutes and things that like help you. What is your process for trying out new technologies? Is it developed in-house? Do you go to partners?
Oh, we do both. I mean, we're not doing it. I think the interesting thing now is, of course, looking into the whole co-creation of possibilities, not only think that we are the one that can solve everything, but actually co-create with others and open up a lot to see what kind of everything from how we mix new materials and find out new production technology for recycling, for example, to a function of a product, to ideas and good ideas. So it's opening up, I think, a lot, and it's not just in-house.
Awesome. All right. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it for this week. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, if you'd like more IoT news, sign up for my newsletter at stacyoniot.com. We'll see you next week.